Hey, I just wanted to do this quick video for the male journey. I recently completed my men's rite of passage in Perth in Scotland in July 2022. First of all, my name's Liam and I'm a business owner in the UK. I live in the county of Suffolk. And what I really wanted to do was to share my story about the rites and how much it benefited me as a man. And I've just been blown away by how the event impacted me and has helped me. And I wanted to share my experience to kind of inspire other guys who are kind of sitting on the fence about doing the rites. Or you may have just, like me, just done a Google search and come across the website and kind of looking through it right now. I really want to try and do my bit to help other guys to get on board and do this event, because it's just helped me in so many ways. And what I wanted to do in this video is just kind of explain the ways that it's helped me. Without going too much into my backstory, I just want to give you some understanding of like why I decided to do the rites. So I actually lost my dad at 21 years old. It took me a long time to heal and get over what had happened. And it wasn't until 6 or 7 years after, in like 2014. So my dad died in 2008, and it wasn't until about 2014 that I actually spoke about it. And for the first time, I actually expressed myself about my feelings about my dad, what I was going through, and someone gave me that space to do that. And it really opened my eyes to the power of sharing your feelings and dealing with traumas and things like that. And that kind of sent me on a journey, to cut a long story short. And I've been doing different events, and I've gone from someone who was very, very closed off to being able to kind of really express myself and be kind of healthy in that way. But in 2017, my partner got diagnosed with breast cancer, and she passed last year in 2001. So to be quite honest with you, I have had 4 years of hell over those 4 years, and it was the toughest thing that I've ever gone through. And even though I'd been through what I went through with my dad and went through that process of understanding the importance of opening up, I mean, this hit me so hard that I struggled to deal with it. And and I knew, and to be honest with you, a year had gone past, and I knew that I was struggling to process what had happened, because there was some regret around those 4 years, and there were certain things that happened that I wasn't particularly proud of, from my own point of view. And I think maybe there was a little bit of guilt and some shame there, I think. And on top of that, obviously, my partner had passed as well. So, I mean, the heaviness that I was feeling was quite intense. And another thing about my partner was that she decided to not have a funeral, because I've got a 13-year-old stepson, and she didn't want to put him for a funeral. But obviously, without a funeral, I didn't have any kind of closure, because, to be honest with you, I wasn't there. I wasn't present at her passing, which was something that I struggled to deal with a lot. And so basically, I was looking for something that was going to help me with this, that was going to help me deal with these this heaviness that I was feeling around it, and I was continuously putting off dealing with. I was distracting myself with work and with other things that were going on, and maybe it wasn't the right time to deal with it or face it, and I needed just time. But I started reading books, and I started getting interested in men's initiation. And I just happened to Google search men's initiation UK, I think. And then I found the website that you're probably on right now. And I started reading some of the testimonies and had a look on it, and it just felt right. And it just felt like, yeah, this is what I need to do. This feels good to me. So I was very excited about it going, but also a bit apprehensive at the same time, because I knew that I was going to be having to deal with this stuff that was going on for me. So, I traveled to Scotland on the Wednesday and got myself there. And obviously, I'm not going to talk about the process and what happened. I just want to talk about the one of the outcomes that I had. Because it's a powerful story. As part of the process, what I will let you guys know, and I think it's very apparent, that one day you do have in the wilderness. And this wilderness day for me was exactly what I needed. And it was just a beautiful scenery, and I found a place in the wilderness, and and I just had to sit there. And it was the first time that I'd ever, well, since Sam, my partner's name was, since Sam's passing, had actually just sat with myself, right? And not tried to distract myself. And, at first it was very difficult. There's a lot of things going through my mind, and, trying to sit there and, you kind of thinking, oh, how much time's gone past, and blah, 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 blah. But then suddenly I went into this space, which I can't really describe very well. And I was actually kind of talking to myself. And as time went on, I started to realize that I was actually talking to Sam. And, I took a necklace that she gave me of hers with to the wilderness, and it was nice to have that. But then suddenly, what came over me was that I realized, after talking to myself, and it felt like I was talking to Sam, and I was talking about how things happened, and I was regretful, and I'm sorry, and just talking through our relationship. I then decided that I was going to have a funeral for her. And still hard to talk about. And I decided I was going to have a funeral for her and get that closure that I needed and be able to move on. Not forget her, of course, but be able to move on with my life and let go of the heaviness that I was feeling. And I ended up writing her a note. Well, it was more than a note. It was a couple of pages. And I just wrote kind of what I would write at a funeral. I probably wouldn't have said all the things out loud to other people, but it was just for her. I wrote a note that was just for her, and I wrote it, and it was so good just to write it all out. And then I said it out loud. Right, I felt like I needed to say it out loud, so I stood there and I said it out loud, and I read the whole thing. And obviously at this, I'm crying at this point. I'm letting out all this stuff, and then I put it into an envelope, and I didn't really know. I was just doing it as it felt right. And after I'd finished the note, I happened to put my hand behind me. I was sitting basically where I was in the wilderness. I was up on this cliff, and I was sitting on this kind of lovely, like, piece of rock that was sticking out of the hillside and had like moss on it. It was completely flat. It was really nice view looking over the river, and it was amazing. And I happened to put my hand back, and there was a rock behind me, and the rock was loose, and it was almost shaped like a heart. And I know this sounds like almost unbelievable, but it was almost shaped like a heart. It had that. Obviously, you wouldn't get that kind of perfect heart shape with a rock, but I mean, it almost looked like one. And I just literally moved this rock, and it came right up. And underneath the rock was this like perfect space to put this letter that I'd written. Right, so I decided, right, I'm gonna kind of bury this letter in in right here, right now. Okay, and I buried that, and that felt good. And then suddenly I just had this idea that I wanted to make a cross for Sam, and and God, this is hard to say out loud. I went and found some twigs and or some sticks, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with these sticks? How am I going to make a cross? And then it just came over me that I had the necklace, and I used the necklace to bind these two sticks together, and I put a cross there. And you know, as soon as if you've never seen a man cry before, get used to it. If you go to the rites, that's what I was. That's what I was. um, uh, once I did that, I really felt her presence there. and and I and during that process as well, I had this baby deer, like this fawn, come up to me, this baby deer, and it just stood there looking at me, and I was just like, all this stuff was happening. I was just like, this is okay. You tell this story. Okay, so I had this baby fawn there as well, and that was I can't. The thing is, I can't remember what happened in what sequence. I mean, it was a bit like a dream, and I felt her presence there, and I mean, after that point, the time just went so fast, and there was part of me that didn't want to leave, but then I had to leave, and and then I was able to walk down the side of the hill face, and I looked back up to where I was sitting, and I got this vision of my, me and my partner together up there, and that's where I left us two up there, and it's just what I needed to do. I didn't expect to get so teary telling this story, to be honest, but it is what it is. So yeah, so I looked up and I just saw her and me sitting there, with her head on my shoulder, and I just, felt like I left a little piece of me up there for her. And as soon as I left the wilderness and got back on the coach, I immediately felt that heaviness had left me. And when I thought about Sam, I didn't have those feelings of regret or remorse or shame anymore, because my brain just instantly went to that vision of seeing us sitting on the hillside together, where I'd, had a funeral for her, I guess, and wrote the letter. And it just was, my intention of going was dealing with this and this issue. And I just had no idea that it would play out this way. It was just completely, happened natural on its own, and I just went with what was feeling at the time. And I mean, it just, if whoever's watching this, if you choose to go and you're dealing with some kind of loss, I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going to happen for you, but what I'm saying is that through the 5 days that you're there, I guarantee that something is going to give you what you need in order to deal with whatever it is that you're going on, but whatever you have going on. But like, another side to this for me was like, it just allowed me to really step into something, well, not new, step into what I knew was already there for me. I'd lost parts of myself through those 4 years, and I was able to reclaim those parts of myself again, and really step into that power that I felt like I'd lost through those 4 years, because it'd been so stressful and so hard. And the what it put upon me, was heavy. And I came away from the event feeling completely different. And I was just in the process of launching a new business as well, and it gave me the fire and the energy and the kind of like, just the kind of go that I needed to really step into what I needed to go and make those things happen. And I'm just so thankful to the male journey, the rites. I mean, it was so well run. The elders are just fantastic. They held the space so well, and they managed the group so well. And the guys that you meet who are also there, you're like, where have these guys been my whole life, kind of thing, and you get to know guys in the space of 5 days, better than probably most of your friends that you've had for a lifetime. And it was just the refresh that I needed. And it was just amazing. And don't get me wrong, it was uncomfortable at times. There was some things happen that I didn't expect to happen. But that's all part of the process. And you just got to go there and play full out, and just, it will just guide you to whatever it is that you need to deal with. And I'm so thankful. I really, really am. These tears are more tears of joy than anything, because I mean, this is something that was carrying for a long time. And yeah, just so thankful. So if you're a guy and you're on the fence about this, I was there too, but I made the leap, I made the jump, and I'm just so glad that I did. I'm so glad. There was times I thought about pulling out and not doing it. Is this right for me? But I promise you will not regret it. And I'm just an amazing group of people, and it was just excellent, and I can't wait to meet up with them again and see them all. So that's my little insight. Thanks for bearing with me, and I wish you all the best. Take care.